I'm beginning to believe each day that America is not designed for poor folk to win. Here recently, Donald Trump signed an executive order to split the MMR shot. For those of you all unfamiliar, MMR means mumps, measles, and rubella. In my opinion, maybe we should hide all the condoms, bolt down all the doors to all the whorehouses in town, because Trump is fucking up. Y'all look at this.
It also splits up the measles and mumps and rubella vaccine into 3 separate shots, a move public health experts warn could lead to an increased risk of children becoming infected with the vaccine, preventable disease before returning for another visit. Here's the president just moments ago.
You have the MMR. We want it in 3 separate vaccinations, given at separate times. Together, there could be a possibility they're quite lethal. And separately, it looks like they are not at all lethal, but just very effective. So the MMR, we want to have separate visits, separate times.
So y'all ask yourselves, why are they putting this stuff in the way? They know just as well as you know that in a lot of these areas, kids have got to have these shots in order to enroll in school. Like I said, when things get in the way, a lot of times they become the way, a way of getting rid of the undesirable.
And I love all people, rich or poor, but in those particular positions, I just don't want a poor person. I just don't want a poor person. I just don't want a poor person. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? If you insist, I'll do it, but I like it better this way, right?
So y'all, who are these poor people? Could it be these people? Maybe it's even these people. Who knows? Who's to say? But what we do know is that when these kids don't get these vaccines, it increases their risk of getting sick. And what we know is that something like the measles can cause respiratory issues and death when the individual who has caught this illness is malnourished, and who is most likely to be malnourished other than the poor. Population control.
Worries about overpopulation are back.
We need to address much more aggressively the population part of the equation.
If we keep ignoring this exponential population rise, nature will reduce human population for us.
How many is really too many?
We also know that measles can cause brain injury. And what would be right up the alley of these dictators who run the governments that we are subordinate to, other than having subordinates who don't have the ability to think?
Wokeness is a virus. It's infectious. It destroys your brain.
Almost every corner of our society is now sort of being infected with some of this wokeness.
When woke infects something, it spreads its tentacles.
We are seeing a woke ideology spread like a disease.
Colin Kaepernick, LeBron James, all of them are super woke.
Actor David Schwimmer is getting majorly woke.
Apparently he caught the brain virus and went completely insane, became woke, and then became bloodthirsty.
This video is about telling you the risk and the problems that this splitting this MMR shot is going to have with poor people. The media is not telling you that. Of course, they tell you about people that'll get sick, but poor folk need to know what happens to them. So let's look at 5 things or ways that this could be problematic to us poor folk. Number 1, poor folk are either unemployed or underemployed. We are out here depending on these jobs that has little or no flexibility in terms of scheduling, work schedule. We go into work, we punch in. We leave work, we punch out. Go home, eat, sleep, and shit, and do the same thing back over again tomorrow. These jobs don't care whether or not if we got problems at home, they ready to write us up. They don't care whether or not if we die tomorrow. they'll have an opening for that job that same day. So you know they don't care nothing about you having to take your child to get vaccinated. Splitting that vaccine up 3 different ways mean 3 different occasions that you're going to have to either call in to work or figure out some type of way to get off of work. And to add insult to injury, you can't afford all of the different healthcare plans. You don't have private insurance, and most of the time, most of us are dealing on these government-sponsored programs like Medicaid and S-CHIPs.
According to the PA Chapter American Academy of Pediatrics, Medicaid covers 35% of births in the state. It covers access to dental, hearing services. It provides care for children with special health care needs, things that private insurance does not cover. It also covers mental and behavioral care, even speech therapy in schools.
Medicaid cuts could result in more trips to the emergency room because parents may not be able to afford their child's asthma medication or insulin. We might even see an increase in absenteeism in school due to the loss of routine screenings and in vaccinations.
So it's not like we're going to these private clinics to get vaccinated or any healthcare needs. These clinics, because they split it up 3 ways, are now becoming, or are going to become, overburdened. One clinic might have 1,000 kids to see in one day. So what that clinic is going to do is put you on the schedule. You already having difficulties getting off work. This just complicates things even further. So here, it is not beneficial to poor folk to split that MMR shot. Number 2, transportation. You have got to get there first. Most poor folks don't own a car, and the ones that do own a car have difficulties buying gas. Gas high as hell.
Gas prices are jumping again.
They're ridiculous.
And even when using rewards or discounts, it feels like minimal savings. A gallon of gas is averaging $4.28 in Metro Toledo, according to Gas Buddy. At some local stations, a gallon is $4.49.
I can't afford that.
The national average is at $4.03 per gallon. A national average, Gas Buddy says, is the highest it has been this late in the year. The price jump in recent days comes days after Gas Buddy was reporting a slight dip in national averages, and it's fueled by ongoing tensions in the Middle East.
It is not like you can go down there to the bus stop, get on one of these public transit buses, and request that that bus take you to the doorstep of a public clinic. It don't work like that. Number 3, the emotional trauma. Look, if you have ever had a child that you had to take to get a shot, that child is going to be kicking, screaming. It's going to be reaching for you for help. This is your baby. Now imagine that child having to undergo 3 shots. 3 times he's reaching for you. 3 times you see him in this anguish. This is something that wears on the psyche. But see, we ain't even got into how traumatic this can be for that child. So this is another reason why splitting that shot up ain't good for poor folk. Number 4, trust in the vaccine and its usefulness. There are all types of conspiracy theories out there. One mainly is the MMR vaccine itself puts a child at greater risk of autism. We ain't forgot about black folks in the Tuskegee experiment where they injected us with syphilis and watched to see what was going to happen to us. So you know we don't trust it.
From 1932 to 1972, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment was a study conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service designed to study and observe the natural progression of humans infected with untreated syphilis. Conducted entirely on poor, uneducated African American men, the men who had syphilis were never informed about their diagnosis, despite the risk of infecting others, and they were never informed that the disease could lead to blindness, deafness, mental illness, heart disease, bone deterioration, central nervous system failure, and death.
But above all, Donald Trump is not the ideal model to promote a vaccine or any other type of medication for what that is. How many of y'all remember this?
A question that probably some of you are thinking of if you're totally into that world, which I find to be very interesting. So supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting.
Get the right folks who could.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful.
Number 5, the Constitution. Look, poor folk live in a capitalistic society called America, whereas we are the capital. So the Bill of Rights and civil liberties is all that we have, and we're not ready to give it up.
And a right to pursue happiness. Somebody shout, leave the children alone. Leave the children alone. Let them have love. Let them have justice. Let them have humanity.
Congress shall make no laws respecting the establishment of religion or abridging the free exercise thereof. You got a lot of poor folk who are religious thinkers, religious believers, and a portion of their religious belief is that they believe in the healing powers of God. So what are we expecting? For these individuals to give up their civil liberties, to give up their religious beliefs, to take mandatory vaccines?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
So now you're not just subjecting them to one problem, but 3 times the problem. You see how problematic this can be? Ultimately, y'all, I'm going to say this and I'm going to go because I think I've just about proved my point. You got poor folk in an environment whereas they got to work for a living. Some of these poor folk got 4, 5, 3 or more children. Once they take these kids down there, because you can't forget they are injecting you with a live virus, that kid stands the chance of getting sick. So when you got a household full of children, then that illness can spread. Now you got a full household of sick children. You done wasted all of your time off of the job. You ain't got no more timeouts. Now you're unemployed because the job done fired you. You can't get to work. What do you do? Like Michael Jackson said, you can't win, you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game. Y'all, Trump is fucking up.